Okay, so it's a little past 11:30 my time in the Maritimes in Canada. So I'm tired. It's time to go to bed. But I thought before I would do so, I'll just have a heart-to-heart with all of my subscribers and anyone else who wants to get better at strumming a guitar. You've heard me say it. It's been part of my marketing for a long time that strumming is, without a doubt, the most common technique that you're ever going to do on the guitar. Yes, you can play lead guitar. Yes, you can play rhythm guitar. To me, there's no difference because rhythm is rhythm. You just apply it to a different approach to playing, and really you should be doing both, lead, rhythm. But we're talking about strumming, and usually strumming in the recreational sense. And for all those players, and for all the students that I've ever worked with, the very first time I meet them, the number one thing they tell me, and I don't even need to prompt them to tell me, is I really struggle with timing or rhythm or something related to that. And I'll usually ask, the typical questions. How long have you been playing? How do you strum along to a song where you already know the chords? Any number of questions I might ask them regarding that. And it always boils down to this one realization. And that is that in the process of them learning to play the guitar, they never got any specific help or instruction on rhythm. And it's happening so much that it's making me concerned about how everyone out there currently is learning rhythm. And the bottom line is, it seems to be a topic that sort of gets relegated to the background. And when I say rhythm, I'm using rhythm and strumming for now as one and the same. It tends to get pushed to the background in favor of more sexy stuff in guitar. Licks, cool little solo sections from a tune that you enjoy. None of that there's a problem with. It's fun to do, and you get to explore the guitar using those devices. But if you get to the point in your playing where what you play and how you play it and when you play it doesn't make sense to you, then there's a problem. And usually that problem is that the student hasn't been exposed to how rhythm works, i.e., how strumming works. Case in point is the typical situation where the student wants to play a tune that they love. We'll assume they know the chords for it. And then we listen to the song, and I'll just ask them, just go ahead and strum your guitar to it. You know the chords to the song. Just go ahead and strum. You know the order of the chords to the song. Go ahead and strum. And they haven't got a clue what to do. At that point, they would ask me the question, well, Steve, just show me how to strum it. And I'm going to say about 80% of the time, I don't do that. Much as they'd like me to, I don't do that. It's quick. It temporarily solves the problem, but it doesn't get to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is, and I'm just being honest late at night with you guys, it's a lack of understanding how rhythm works. And I'm not clear myself on why that gets pushed to the background. I'm not clear about why it is that if a student realizes that that's a weakness they have, there's not a resentment, a resistance. There's a resistance on their part to engage in that training. Somehow I think mistakenly thinking that the study of rhythm is theory, that nasty word, theory. My perspective on musical theory deserves a whole separate video, but I think just the word itself, it scares them away. Of course, it doesn't help that some people just happen to have good rhythm. They have good genes for rhythm. They have a wiring for it that's, to them, like breathing. And while we admire that, in a way, if you think about it, they didn't do anything to get it. They still have to work on it, and they still have to refine it, but they didn't have to do anything to initially get it. They discovered that they were naturally good at it. My friend, they are not the norm. They're out there, but they are not the norm. The vast majority of guitarists do not possess that skill. That's why I hear the question or the comment all the time that I'm really bad at rhythm and I don't know how to strum a song just by hearing it. I'm really interested in changing this perspective by getting people involved in the study of rhythm and apply it to their strumming, and then use that skill set to be able to hear a song and play to it. In a sense, instead of giving you a canned strum pattern, I'm giving you the skills to be able to do the strumming yourself. I'm teaching you how to fish instead of just giving you one. The teaching you how to fish side of things usually means that the process is probably going to be a bit longer than you hope it would be. You got to put some skin in the game. You're going to have to be a bit more dedicated. You're going to have to be a bit more consistent in your study and in your practice in order to see the results of this work. But it's well worth it. Because if you think about it, once the rhythm thing clicks, you're golden. Whether you play lead guitar, strumming, rhythm guitar, whatever you're going to be doing, a big chunk of what you need to know has gotten done. And you can just translate that into any area of playing you want. And yet, this is why I got on the video so late at night. I'm just feeling a little contemplative about this. And yet, why such resistance to it? What is it you're frightened of about learning rhythm? Maybe, oh my gosh, Stephen is going to get me to read rhythms. That's a good thing. Why would you be frightened of that? And I'm saying frightened as, you know, it's a small f. It's probably not the right word, but it's the one that's coming out at this hour. Because there is a resistance to it, and I don't get why, because it's part of the language of music. Now, maybe later in time you catch up with that idea and eventually you go, yes, I realize I should study rhythm more than I have. Clearly, I don't think I have the it factor or the X factor that gets me through learning to play without other people helping me out. In other words, I'm not a Jimi Hendrix. I'm not a whoever else out there that has claimed and currently continues to claim that they didn't take any lessons, they've never studied any theory, and they're still able to make brilliant, wonderful music. There's nothing wrong with that. Those people are out there. Are you one of them, though? I'm not. I had to work darn hard to become the player I am today. And I had to work even harder to become the teacher that I am today. So, we got to get past this notion that it's hard work. Sometimes it is, but it's an investment. It's a big investment in making a lot of connections about how music works in general. And you should be doing it, in my humble opinion. Think of it this way, because I'm getting tired. My tea's getting cold. I need to get to bed. But think of it this way. If you decide you want to be a painter, an artistic painter, you might think to yourself, it makes sense maybe to start with paint by numbers. And if you think about the paint by number process, you want to become a painter, but paint by numbers is not actually helping you with learning how to paint in the true sense. You're just following instructions about where to fill in the paint. Sure, you can do some things to it to make the painting look a little better than the actual paint by number setup, but still, you didn't actually compose the image, sketch it out on a canvas or something. You didn't actually create the colors. You didn't mix them together. And so, are you really painting? I don't want to take away from those of you that have done it. I've done it, and you can't see them here per se, but I'm surrounded by many paintings that I've done myself because I enjoy painting. So I've done a few paint by numbers when I was young, but eventually, if you really want to paint, you have to learn to paint. You have to learn how to compose an image. You have to learn how to mix colors. You have to learn how to apply the paint in an artistic way. You have to learn how to blend edges so that at the distance you want the painting to be seen, those blurry edges up close actually look very distinct when you're far away. There's a lot to learn about painting if you want to paint. Let's go the other way. The other analogy I've used a lot is learning to ride a bike, even if you're an adult. Some adults learn to ride bikes as adults. The traditional approach is to put training wheels on the bike. And yet, if you think about it, what is the actual skill that you need to ride a bike? I would argue you need balance. You need to feel what balance is on a bike. More to the point, you need to be so familiar with that feel that when you learn to turn the bike, you're confident you're not going to hit the pavement in the next few seconds. It just, the action feels correct. In which case, if you think about it, training wheels don't teach you that. Training wheels are not training you how to ride a bike. Really, the best thing to do is, some people have just removed the pedals from the bike. Most times it's a parent helping a kid learn to ride, and just walk beside them, and periodically, if you give them enough speed, the momentum of the bike will stay upright, and they get to learn what it's like to try to keep that bike upright. And, you know, they may tumble, but you're there beside them to prevent that from happening. That's what's missing. And you can ride with training wheels as long as you want, and you're not actually learning to ride a bike. Let's put this back into guitar world. You can use strum patterns that somebody else has shown you for a particular song you want to play, for every song you ever want to play, and you will never really have learned how strumming works. You're just, let's be honest, all you're doing is mimicking someone else's solution, not yours. There's none of you in that strumming as a musical artist. It's someone else's interpretation. Now, okay, I get it. Some songs, the way they're strummed is a very specific thing, and it has to be done that way. Fair enough. Everything I'm saying has exceptions. But for the vast majority of the time, when it comes to strumming creatively to a song you want to play, you have a lot of freedom. Nobody will ever come up to you around the campfire after you have played your songs and say, you didn't strum that correctly. Nobody's ever going to tell you that. If they should, they shouldn't be at the campfire. Or if they do, they shouldn't be at the campfire. But I've never seen that happen. And that's because if you're strumming it correctly, in a sense, you're not really mimicking the specific strum, if there was one in the song. What you're aiming to reproduce is the vibe of the song. And when you get that right, people walk away and say, oh man, what a wonderful campfire concert that was. They're not thinking, no, he didn't strum it right. And you yet may have been strumming a variation of what was actually done on the real recording, and that variation is a representation of you interpreting the vibe. That's what you really want to be able to do. And to be able to do it almost on the fly, not have to, again, be shown by someone else, which takes time. You have to repeat it as if it's got to get memorized. None of that. You don't, I think you don't want that. So, I come back to the question, why are you not training your rhythm or / your strumming? Why are you not doing it? I'll suggest to you the main reason that you aren't doing it is that you're afraid it's going to take too long, and you're afraid it's almost like if you know too much about it, somehow you won't be able to play as creatively. That doesn't make sense if you think about it. What you just said is, the less I know about something, the better I am at it. Think about that. That's what you're saying. And yet, you know that that's not true. You can learn a ton of stuff about anything. You'll only use the stuff that you feel you need to use, But learning more about it is not going to take any of what you know away. You can only keep getting better. So, why are you not working on your strumming skills, your rhythm skills? If you want to really dive deep into that idea, that topic, you really want to finally get this stuff all figured out in a reasonable time frame. Let's say it might take 6 months, and for some it might take a year. It doesn't really matter. Are you willing to do it? I'll bet you are. And if that's the case, go beneath the video, check out the link I've left there, go visit the Strum Hub, take a look around, get a sense of what it's about, and consider it as an option for me to help you on an ongoing basis develop your rhythm skills. The Strum Hub community has been building. It's a new membership, and I'm not going anywhere, so I'm just going to keep building that darn thing out. Give it a thought. Go check it out. I appreciate your time. Thanks for listening to my late night video. I'm sorry if I sound a little tired, but that's just the reality right now. Give it some thought. I think if you invest in that, you're going to find everything about playing the guitar starts to sharpen up, because everything about music is rhythm. If that's missing, you don't really have music. Steve Dempster, GuitarEvolutions.com. Check out the link below. Maybe we'll talk soon and we can help you get that rhythm thing under control. No excuses. Thanks for listening. Bye.